What's going on, guys? Drew Cordero here, along with my co-host Tyler.
How's it going, guys? Tyler Webb, the bow tie loan guy.
And today we are just going to do introductions, kind of talk about ourselves, why we're in the industry, and just so you guys can kind of get to know us. So I'll ask the first question to you, man.
Okay.
Tyler, what got you into lending and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So, I'll kind of back it up a little bit, like
Okay.
who I kind of who I am. I am a Temecula Valley native, born and raised out here, born over at Inland Valley Hospital. Family's been out here pretty much the entire time, and grew up watching the area grow from Temecula having those fields out by Wolf Valley to all those houses now, and it's changed a lot, and it's fun watching it change, because it has become kind of its own. It's built so much character of itself, and it's become the Temecula that we know and love now in Marietta and now Menifee too. How I got into loans, though, I went to Oregon State University. So go Beavs, diehard Beaver fan, even though the Pac-12 is falling apart. And while I was there, I was in Greek life, so fraternities and sororities, and I did recruitment for the fraternities overall. I worked from just doing recruitment for my fraternity up to doing it for the university, and I did some of that, and I was a psychology major. And as I'm getting close to graduating, my mom's like, "What is it that you want to do with this?" Because the only things that you can do as a psych major with the psych degree, it really is go on for your master's or your PhD or a PsyD. So it's a lot more schooling. And I'm like, I just don't know that I really want to do that right now. And she's like, well, you've done recruitment for so long. What did you like about what's kept you in that? What did you like about recruitment? And I told her how I loved that people would come up to me with these preconceived notions of what Greek life was. I had parents come up to me, is my kid gonna die here? Or what hazing goes on here? And I'm like, okay, well, first off, I had people from the university coming over, cutting them off, being like, we'll talk to you over here. But it was really dispelling the myths. It was explaining we're involved with these philanthropies. Our GPA as an average is this, and really just kind of painting the true story of what Greek life at Oregon State was. And she's like, that's not too far from what I do with clients and with realtors when it comes to mortgages. I explained there's a lot of misinformation out there, like we've talked about in some other episodes. There's tons of misinformation online from their realtors sometimes. What's on TV and what's on radio ads. There's just so much info. They don't know what's true.
Yeah.
And I love being able to educate home buyers on what it is that is true, and educate and edify realtors on what's going on in the industry, how we can help them, how we can help their clients. So really it was my mom that pushed me into it. She's like, why don't you give it a shot? You're graduating college. And pretty much the last summer I was there, I started working remote for her, making some calls and things, kind of getting my feet wet. And then almost 10 years later, here I am, still going strong in the industry. Yeah.
Gotta leave it to parents, man. They're always pushing us, huh?
Oh yeah. And she's my senior loan officer. She is awesome. She knows just so much. She's seen so much throughout her tenure doing this. And I'm super grateful for her for even this opportunity, because it has been a wild ride, that's for sure. It's a constantly changing industry. And what's kept me in the industry is, when I was first getting started, I kind of was like, I don't know that this is exactly what I want to do. I don't know if I really am all in on this still. And I was like, kind of having just some second thoughts. And then I had a client who, I swear it was just meant to be. I had a client who got introduced to me, and the realtor's like, hey, she's really kind of skittish about the whole process. She's gone through it before, and just had a really bad experience previously. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll take her through the process like we do all of our clients, and make sure that she knows what's going on and she feels comfortable with everything. And so we're going through, and she's the sweetest lady. And I went to her house to pick up her documents, And I just remember seeing everything in boxes, literally floor to ceiling boxes. And I'm like, she is eager. She's ready to go. She's ready to get into this house. Like, let's do this thing. And as we're going through the process, she would just call all the time. And she's like, is it still going through? Is everything okay? Are you sure we're still approved? I'm like, yeah, like we're good. And we're good. We're doing our weekly updates. We're letting her know, hey, we got the loan approval. We got the appraisal back. Everything's looking good. And every step of the way, she's like, are you sure we're good? Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, we're good. So finally, at the very end, I had to go get something else signed. Well, kind of a last form that we needed a signature on. And she's like, so this is it. Like, it's actually going to happen. And I'm like, I have to know at this point, like,
Yeah, like
what's going on?
Yeah.
Because we've, there's not been any like, oh, we can't actually do this, you know? And so I'm like, what happened? Kind of who hurt you,
Yeah.
And she starts tearing up and she's like, well, the reason everything was in boxes was we had tried to buy a house the year before. We got into escrow, super excited, got the movers, canceled the lease, got everything ready to go. She's not heard a thing from her lender. So she calls the lender. It's like a week before closing. She's like, hey, I know this is my first house. I haven't done this before, but are there anything that you need me to sign? He's like, I'm so glad you called. You're not actually approved. I'm so sorry. I meant to call you weeks ago, but there's nothing I can do for you. She spent more money canceling the movers, reinstating her lease, everything to get her life back on track. She spent more money with that than she did closing on that home that she purchased because we were able to get her into a down payment assistance program.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Being able to do that for her and to be that person for her and realize there are so many professionals in the industry that they just try to push people through and they don't give them the care and attention that people actually need, or the communication like, hey, you don't actually qualify for the home that you're currently in escrow with. Don't release your contingencies and lose all your money here. Seeing that there are those people in the industry, I knew I had to stay.
Yeah.
Because I can't let that happen to more people. And thankfully that doesn't happen to our clients, because when we're sending someone out with a pre-approval letter, they are pre-approved.
Yeah. You actually vetted them and
exactly
did your due diligence like you're supposed to.
Exactly. Yeah. Like as a professional should.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what kept me in the industry as well. It's kind of how I got into it.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
I didn't know that story of you. And I didn't even know you were in the industry for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought you were like newer for some reason. When I met you, I felt like when I met you, it was like when you first started too. Maybe it's just how I got introduced to you. They're like, oh yeah, he's like a new lender too. And I was like, oh dude, awesome, I'm new too.
It's because we're young.
I think that's what it is. I think it's, yeah. So, no, that's great, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
what about you? How did you get into the industry?
So I guess a little bit about me, like you said. So I was born and raised in Hemet, good old Hemet. Watched that town grow from pretty much a retirement home to what it is now. I don't live there anymore. Nothing wrong with Hemet. Hemet has great areas. Hemet's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just there are some better spots not too far away, and so I ended up landing in Menifee now. But I went to school out in San Diego, San Marcos actually. Went to school for accounting. Did all that stuff. Was working with the biotech company in their accounting department, and the company was awesome. I mean, they took really good care of us. Nothing bad to say about them, the people in there. It's just doing that type of work, I realized wasn't for me. Sitting behind the computer hours on end. I mean, we didn't get to chat much. I do like to talk to people. Going through college, I was also bartending. I bartended full time, and then was going to school, and that really got me talking to a lot of people. Before high school and all that, I was really shy. Didn't talk to a lot of people. When I first started in the restaurant, I was in the back in the kitchen as an expo. So I was like, I only got to talk to cooks. I don't got to talk to people. And then just stuff kind of happened where I ended up getting pushed into the bar, and it really opened me up and made me realize how much I enjoy talking to people, how much I like just building different connections with people and everything. So when I went to the county, and I was like, this is not what it is. I'm not happy. I can just, it only took me a year and a half maybe into the industry of accounting, where I was just like, I don't know if I can do this forever. I am going to go crazy. Granted, I was not doing taxes for individuals. That, from what I hear, is way different. The people that do taxes and stuff tell me it's a lot better. I don't know. I just was working for a company, and so all I did was looked at their stuff. But it was just so boring to me. And I was like, I can't do this. And then obviously during the tax seasons, we were busier because we had to prepare, get ready. We would be audited and every once in a while too. So, I'm working long hours and just wasn't happy. And I really did used to do a lot, not used to, I still do, but I would do a lot of research into real estate, just buying in general, because for me personally, I believe it is one of the best ways to build wealth. I'm not a financial advisor, and some might say differently, but I think, real estate is the best way. And so I was watching, all these different things on YouTube, listening to podcasts, Bigger Pockets, all this stuff. And I just was just consuming real estate in so much. And then even, I was literally working with my headphones in, listening to podcast. And I would hear some of the stories of the people talking about the, real estate. I'd hear realtors talking their stories, and I was like, man, that'd be really awesome maybe. And I was like, you got to talk to people, you got to help people. And then I was talking to just other people about just real estate in general, and then just kind of realizing how much false information was out there about real estate in general. And then even, myself, I fell a victim to it too, because I didn't even prepare myself to buy a house. When I was bartending, I wasn't making great money, but the cost of me living was so cheap where I could have saved up enough money to buy a house easy. But I was always just under the notion of I can't afford to buy a house because I just work at a restaurant, whereas I totally could have. And at the time, houses were way more affordable, and I could have locked in a San Diego house, good, because I had, there was plenty of roommates that I was living with. And so, yeah, our rent was super cheap, and we could have just went to, I could have bought a house and then had them renting rooms for me. And I didn't know that until Bigger Pockets. They talked about stuff like that. And so I'm like, this is stuff that, isn't getting taught to my generation or younger generations. Kids in high school should be learning this stuff, and so I was like, there's this education thing that's really missing. And so then I talked to my broker now that I work with, Kelly. I've known her my entire life. I talked to her before I even started doing anything. I was like, hey, Kelly, I've really been considering real estate. I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. And I've just been learning so much on real estate. What do you think? What do you think I should do? And then she told me, she's like, honestly, Drew, I've known you, your entire life. I know your dad does sales. You have a very similar personality. You just had to break out of your shell. And she's like, and now I think with you bartending, it did really open you up. I think you should try this out. I think you'd be really successful at it. You work hard, and you have a personality for it, And so from there on, I did my schooling for it, passed my test, jumped into the industry now. And my goal is to really try to just educate people as much as I can. People around me, younger generation, I coach wrestling. And some kids have talked to me like, oh, coach, like, is it cool owning houses and selling houses? Is it like what is it on TV? And I said, no, it's nothing like what it is on TV, as much as I wish it was, But see, that's what they have these notions, this false notions that, real estate is all glamorous and everything. The story of what keeps me in the industry is actually when I bought my own house. I was my first transaction when I bought my own house. It was my very first transaction I ever did. And man, was it an eye-opener as to what realtors do themselves, and then also just the emotional aspect of buying a home. I wasn't prepared for it at all. I was prepared to buy a home because I was so stoked on, being a homeowner and ready for it. I was about to have a kid, so I was like, hey, I got to get a house now. And so I just went through a roller coaster of emotions, me and my wife, when we were buying our house. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. And then also just managing my own transaction. luckily I had Kelly, in my corner, and she was, helped me every step of the way. But I was just like, I didn't think one, real estate just had this much stuff to it. And then also just, I didn't understand buyers would go through this much emotions when buying a house, listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast and stuff. People are like, oh yeah, just buy homes, this, that. And, and they're talking about, but they didn't go into the details of their emotional state when they're going through it. And I mean, it was just, even though it's only 30 days, I was going through different waves, man, of like, oh man, is this going to go through? I'm so nervous. Can I afford this? Am I really doing this? Like, and then to like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to own a home. I don't have to worry about rent now. It's going to myself. My payments won't change, this and that. And so, and then now I'm like, okay, one, I can relate to buyers on their emotion things. Two, I've now gotten the experience of transactions where, I can try to relate to people as much as I can, but I also want to educate them, let them know beforehand, before they even get to that, stage of like what homeownership really is and what you can do to achieve it, at a younger age than what we think. I mean, me going into college and stuff, and after college, people are like, "Oh, you got to save up 20%. You got to do this, that, and then the other." And then also people just keep saying, "Oh, the housing market's going to crash. Just wait. The housing market's going to crash. Just wait." And I mean, I'm not going to say realtors were telling me that, but it was just other people. But the fact that other people are telling me this, but I'm not hearing any information from realtors in general, was just sad. I was just a first college graduate, just finished school, and obviously I'm not a home buyer ready, but those people should be the ones that people, realtors should be educating in general, because they are future homeowners, if not whatever, they're going to be renters, but at least they have that information. And so I really want to be a teacher of generations, young generations, older generations, if they need, help on whatever they need, and then my generation as well. Why I want to stay in is just to help educate people, because, I'm not bashing realtors at all. Some are awesome, but there are some that are just not professional. They got into this industry because they thought it was going to be easy money. They thought, it's going to be all glamorous, and they don't educate themselves on the transaction. They either leave their clients high and dry, or they're not there to really help them. And I would really like to just help as many people as I can, whether they use me or not. I don't care, as long as they just get educated and they can help themselves when that time comes, either finding a realtor or they know what questions to ask. But yeah, that's just kind of what it is. And also, I mean, I think in this industry, there's a lot of cheerleading too. I hate to say it, because I would love for the market to do what they all say, but markets do go in cycles. We do have ups and downs, and you hear just realtors always saying, "Oh, now's a good time. Now's a good time. Now's a good time." But it's like, it's not. The good time is when you're ready, and good agents will tell you that, when someone comes up to you, "Oh, is it a good time to buy?" It depends on your situation,
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping to really do, is just kind of help educate people in all aspects and stuff like that. I mean, that's why I stay into it now, and kind of why I got into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing education, compassion. What are kind of some of the other I guess values you would say that you bring to the table as someone's realtor? Kind of what's, I guess, so to speak, the personal brand. What are people going to get when they work with Drew Cordero?
Yeah. I mean, honest and open communication is a thing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you, "Oh yeah, everything's going good," when really stuff is not going good. I'm really, there's things going wrong. Or kicking the can down, to try to avoid a hard conversation. No, I'll be upfront and tell you, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm trying to do to help mitigate this." And I mean, a perfect example is another transaction of mine. We had the appraisal come in low, way low.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've heard stories about it, but it didn't happen to me yet. And then this one happened, and it just made no sense as to why it happened, but it did. And instead of sitting here and telling my buyer or my seller, "Hey, everything's going good right now. It's okay. They're good to close. Everything's looking good," I told them, like, "Hey, straight up, hey man, I don't know what's going on. This appraisal came in really low. This is what we're going to do to try to, bat this down. Do you want to keep, continue with this Or, what's your thought on it? Try to get them involved. I would like to get the people involved as much as they can so that they feel like they're not getting pulled or, led, but more so we're making decisions together as a team. It's a big, I try to do team aspect, communication, honesty is kind of what I go by.
Love it.
Yeah. On same with you, man. I heard compassion and all that stuff with yours. What other values do you bring?
I think a lot of it is education, empowering the buyers, making them feel that they are going through a process, but they are educated on their options. They understand the loan that they're getting in. They understand the process. They don't feel like they're just being pushed through with a loan they don't understand. I saw a stat that I think it was about 2/3 of all home buyers reported stress with the mortgage process just by itself. Buying a house by itself is inherently stressful.
Yeah.
When you couple that with the mortgage process and they're sitting here wondering, do I really qualify? What, is my payment going to go up? What is going on with this? Where am I at with my loan? Do they need more documents? It's stressful, and it's not something they should have to be worrying about when they are worried about changing utilities. They're worried about packing up all their belongings and uprooting their family on top of their regular workload.
Yeah.
It is an inherently stressful process. So we strive to make the mortgage portion of it as simple as possible. Guide them through, help them understand the options they do have. That way they feel like they're making choices, not being, like you said, not being just led to, okay, this is your loan and we're going this route and just be quiet, sign that and be done.
Yeah.
So it definitely educating them, empowering them on the decisions that they're making. Also being compassionate with it. My wife and I are homeowners as well. So, seeing what we went through and what, especially, what she was going through with buying, it gives me some insight as to what some other couples and other families and people that are buying are feeling.
Yeah.
And so it really gives you a better appreciation for communicating that and making sure that you're keeping them in the loop. And this is our day in, day out. So when you tell them, oh, appraisal came in fine and as is, and we're good to go. Oh, and we got your conditional loan approval and it looks good. And they're like, what does all that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? Yep.
And it takes someone who is going to give them the time of day to break it down for them and say, okay, well, this is the process when you get into escrow, A, B, C, D, E. Give them the steps. That way they understand what's going on. Again, not that they're just like, oh my God, what's going on with all of this. So on the client end, that's really what I try to focus on is the transparency, the integrity, like you said as well, not kicking the can down the road. If there's an issue, letting them know and, hey, this is how we're going to attack it, but also setting proper expectations.
Yeah.
We do as much legwork and homework up front to make sure when we give them that approval letter, it sticks. I really pride myself and our team prides ourselves on giving pre-approval letters, not giving pre-qual letters, because pre-qual is, okay, you make this, you got this for your checking and savings account, your credit score, you say it's 800. Okay, cool. Here's the approval letter. Go write offers.
Yeah.
That's not very thorough and it oftentimes doesn't stick. So we make sure that when we're giving that to our clients and to our realtor partners, that it is something we can stand behind. And when we give that to them, we're not going to have issues due to their qualifying factors. There may be things that come up out of our control. Yeah. The house, like you said, appraises either high or low. High wouldn't be an issue.
I'll say, yeah.
But there's unforeseen issues with inspections, termite reports. Just different things can happen, but we do as much as we can to make sure the loan process goes as seamlessly, as stress-free as possible. And then when it comes to the realtor side, we work on making them look good. That's part of the reason I brand myself with the bow tie is, we like to give them a little bit of a positive style essentially and protect their reputation so that when they know they're writing an offer that they're not going to look bad to that agent because, as a lot of agents realize, but I don't think a lot of clients realize, you have to, when you're an agent, you network with other agents. Like that is almost, one of your client pools, because you want someone to respect you. You want someone to want to work with you. And if you have someone that's writing offers that doesn't actually qualify, yeah, if they sit there and they look through it, they realize, okay, it's probably on the client or the lender or something like that. They don't look at that. They look at, well, that was their lender,
Yeah.
or that was their client, and that sticks with them. So we understand that, when someone gives us a lead, that's their bread and butter. That's their paycheck, and we treat it as such. And we make sure that, again, if we're either going to give you a pre-approval letter that sticks and that you can go out shopping with, knowing full well it's going to close, or we're going to give you a very good reason why, hey, this person's not here yet. But not just that, here are the next steps we're going to take to try and get them there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's they need to work on their credit. Maybe it's they need to start saving some more. Whatever the case may be, we're going to guide them through that, because that's another thing that we hear on our side is, yeah, I tried getting pre-approved last year, but the guy said we didn't qualify. He didn't really tell us why. He said our credit was low, or maybe he gave a bare bones explanation, or she gave a bare bones explanation. But it takes someone sitting down and going through, okay, this is why, and this is how you can get into a better position to actually help them. If you just turn and burn, that's not very professional, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you kind of talked about education and stuff, and my broker and mentor always says the only thing constant in real estate is change.
Yep.
So, how big is education to you? How often do you educate yourself on the industry and what's going on?
Oh, daily.
Daily.
I've been in coaching pretty much my entire time that I've been in the industry. And every coach I've had has always pushed, at least start your day reading some articles, looking up kind of what's going on. We subscribe to a few different industry experts, one being MBS Highway, Barry Habib. And we watch that daily, religiously. Pretty much the entire team watches it just to see, kind of keep the finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry, see what's going on. I'm constantly looking up loan program changes, looking up, what's coming down the pipe. Like we heard about the California Dream for All program almost a year before it actually came out the first go around.
Yeah.
And so we started doing our research then. What is this program? What's it going to be? What's it going to mean for people? And the industry, as you mentioned, is constantly changing. We have to, if you're not learning, you're dying.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, you're dying. And you have to do that, in my opinion, to be a true professional and the best asset and best value for your client and for your realtor partners and other referral partners as possible. Like, you have to have those things dialed in. You have to, whether it's, business and sales tactics to the actual industry itself, absolutely daily.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, like you said, one, the questions we always get is, oh, how's the market? So we have to be updated on the market and know, as best as we can, be educated on it. And then also we have to educate ourselves on the transaction of what goes on. And, because that's always changing too. And every transaction is not the same.
Absolutely.
So, there's so much research, so much time that goes into gaining the knowledge that, realtors and lenders need, that it is a daily thing. And it's like, it takes up hours of our day, that I don't think people realize, what all goes into it. It's because, you can't just be asked, oh, how's the market, and just throw out some random answer. It's like, and if you're not researching, that's what you're going to do. Oh, it's great. It's great because of this, it's that, and that, but if people start digging in questions and you're not educated as a realtor or a lender, and you just throw generic answers out and they're sitting here hitting you with more in-depth questions, they're going to realize that you're probably not educated, or you're not educating yourself, and that you're just hoping to do transactions and that's it. And you're not taking this as a profession, and you're just like, oh, I'm just here to, make money
As a career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's it. And this is a career, and it's, it's a profession, just like a doctor or lawyers. They got to do their own thing. We got to do our thing too.
Yep.
And so it's
absolutely. And one thing on that, one of my coaches put it in a way that's really stuck with me over the years, is that our bodies overall, but specifically our minds, are like Lamborghinis, where they take premium fuel and they turn it into high performance. But if you put bad gasoline basically into a Lamborghini here, it's not going to run well.
Yeah.
You need to give it high caliber things. You need to feed it content. You basically are what you consume. And if we're not constantly consuming high value content, topical content, and we're just using AI to spit out some scripts or something that we're just rattling off whenever we meet someone,
Yeah.
people are going to know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what differentiates one of the things that differentiates, in my opinion, the true professionals versus the people that are just looking for the leads, the deals, and you don't know how long they're going to be there. You know, It's market turns and they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, the stat is what I think like 80% of realtors are gone within the first year or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I mean, that just shows that it's not for the weak, and also you have to stay on top of your stuff to be one of the ones that can actually manage and stay through this industry.
Selling Sunset and HGTV have lied to us
Yes.
a lot.
Is the lending industry similar, as in like you have a lot of people that come in and drop out, or is it?
You know, I know the realtor stat is a little bit more established with that. Like the first year of survival is definitely I think a lot harsher for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure what the stat looks like for our industry overall, but I will say I noticed that in 2017, 18, 19, you had a solid group of pretty established lenders. 2018, 2019, rates weren't great at that point. It wasn't a great time in the market at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we did see some thinning out, and we kind of knew the players that were in the area. And then when 20 and 21 hit, we saw anyone, and I mean, not anyone, obviously, but we saw so many people pop up, and they're all getting licensed because loans were coming out of the sky. If you picked up the phone and could get the deal done, you could get loans.
Yep, same.
And we saw so many, and we saw a lot of people who would they hopped on social media. Hey, I'm a lender. Send me your deals, blah, blah, blah. And because there were so many of them, it was so saturated. People didn't know the difference. But as soon as the market turned in 2022, a lot of them left.
Yep.
I think we lost I want to say it's about 60% of the industry we lost. It was a substantial portion of the industry that we lost basically from the start of 2022 to 2023. And then that number continuously drops because it has been a harder market. But those that have been educating themselves, those that have been planting the seeds and harvesting and farming the relationships, we are continuing and we are building our businesses. And, I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's a hard industry. And in a lot of ways, I mean, yeah, we wish that we could wish that it was easier, but with it being harder, it's thinning out the herd. It's making it so that the true professionals are standing out and those that aren't are leaving.
Yeah. So that's why it's important to make sure you hire somebody that's been through some markets, or at least is in it for the long run, and not just one of those, oh, hey, I'm here. Okay, I'm out in a year or two.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and also someone that is willing to, like, I love a challenge. That is one of my, I hesitate to say this because now I'm going to get some calls. I've got a tough one.
I got a doozy, man.
Yeah, but I truly I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy being able to take someone who either wasn't approved before, literally throwing everything I can at it to see if there is a way to make it happen. And that has sharpened my skills more than I could ever imagine. Like, I can't imagine just being like, oh, no, sorry, that doesn't work. Like, I have a kind of a nickname in the office of being the rock pusher, because I'll take the hard ones and I will make them work if there's a way to make them work, and do anything we can to get it done. So that's a great way to learn so many things about guidelines and deals. And, my mom, who's my senior loan officer, again, she's told me time and time again, she's like, number one, I would have ditched that a long time ago. And number two, you were learning so much just from that loan that, like, I didn't even realize, because guidelines are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, some of the best educations are one of the toughest deals and stuff we have.
Oh, absolutely. So. Absolutely. So.
I just wanted this a quick little episode just to kind of talk about ourselves, and so people can see who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Is there anything else you want to add, man? Or
I think for for this one, no, that's pretty much it. I'm just glad that we were able to kind of share a little bit more, and I'm also, one of the reasons that we partnered with this is that we are so aligned with those values. And I think we've kind of realized that for a while now, that, the education and having compassion for the clients and just these things that not only, I mean, yes, there's the professional side of getting the deal done and educating and guiding them through, but it makes me happy that there are people like us in the industry, not to toot our own horns here, but the people that care, people that actually care about their clients and are not just transactional, are relational.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So no, I think I'm good though.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, nothing to add to that too. So awesome. Drew and Tyler signing off.